and are regulated by the FSA, the FSA requires you, as soon as something has any material impact on your business, to have a great deal of knowledge and certainty about what's going on, which data protection law does too, but also about your ability to continue to provide that service. And if you sign up to one of these things without really reading it properly or take a view because it's low price, you could be breaching your FSA requirements and ultimately facing huge regulatory sanctions. You'll be very careful. So you've got to think about who you are, who your customers are when you look at these SLAs. But I would say, as a lawyer who negotiates or doesn't negotiate these things, I have a sympathy for the argument in cloud that it's different. It is a different model. It is more of a standard model. Go into that aware that that matters, which is my is it any bad thing point there. So the next stage in the development and evolution of this, now this talk's meant to end in 2 minutes, but it started 10 minutes late, so I'm gabbling slightly, but the whole session ends at 1:15, so I'll quickly try and get through without gabbling too much. Markets looking to address problems with traditional tech contracts. It's long-winded, it costs a fortune, it's driven by the lawyers and the risk managers, and it's hideous. And they just go in with these ridiculously high SLAs that nobody in the technology team wants or cares about. Cut to the chase, get what you pay for. That's the sort of criticism of the traditional technology contract. But then the sort of standard one-size-fits-all, it's in the cloud, click and accept. There's a lack of certainty over reliability. There's a lack of visibility over what's going on in the stack. And there's a lack of control over exit. And again, this has been discussed. There's a danger of lock-in or worse, abandonment. Now, this GHGHOST service, they sent an email to their customers and said, due to market dynamics, we are shutting down in a week. And then they shut down, and all the data was gone. And if you hadn't got that email, or you hadn't actioned that email, all your data disappeared, your service disappeared. There is a danger of that, and this is why it's all very well just clicking through, and yes, you've got to take the terms you're given. Some of these terms can really seriously expose you. My contention is, as I think my colleagues who spoke and colleagues who spoke from the floor, is that it's the lock-in and exit is your real risk, more so than your SLA. Your SLA, you get what you're given, but you need to be able to walk away safely, because that's your ultimate sanction. Final note about negotiation. There's very little market intelligence about what's really going on in terms of negotiation, because obviously it's all confidential. The one published contract, because it had to be, was the Google City of Los Angeles case, which kind of broke one of Google's golden rules. Google's golden rule is we take your data, we put it wherever we want, and if you want to read it, we pull it back together using our clever technology and you can look at it. The City of LA contract said you will keep certain data in the continental United States and you will use your best endeavors to move the rest of your platforms into such a way that you can keep all of our data in the continental United States, which totally flies in the face of the business logic of cloud computing, but they did it. Now, I don't know what the pricing was. I don't know if it cost more, but as I understand it, that deal's maybe not gone the best anyway. But it's quite interesting that that people are negotiating. Even Google is negotiating on things like this. And obviously, we've heard that Mimecast go into deals going, no, we'll keep it in Europe if you want it. We'll keep it in the States if you want it there. And that's quite interesting as well. You preempt that debate. So some SLA thoughts. There's been some talk around this. I don't want to labour it. Just give you those 4 examples. The top one is your sort of classic high watermark outsourcing one. You shall do it, which nobody will give, or very few people will give, unless they've got myriads of caveats on it. And then the next 2, best endeavours versus reasonable endeavours. Great lawyer's game. Delete best, write reasonable, delete reasonable, write best, all that. And then the last one, you could argue the last one's what you actually want. And it does 2 things. One, it means the supplier is not there with a gun against his head if he's out for 10 minutes, out of 24/7. But equally, you as the user, even a financially regulated one, could say, no, I've signed a contract that says they will deliver in accordance with the industry practice. What more can I ask for? And so it's quite interesting. I think we as lawyers and business people need to talk to technologists. What do you actually want? What do you actually need? And that sort of, it looks like that's the weakest But I'd argue the fourth one there is better than best endeavours or reasonable endeavours, potentially, in terms of service outcomes. And potentially less scary for a vendor who's going, no, I've got a one-size-fits-all solution here. I cannot commit to ensure 24/7 to every single one of my customers, or I'm out of business if I have an outlier incident that could happen. And then finally, lock-in and exit. We've talked about this. It's interesting. The point about getting the technologists involved, I think, is key. And I think agree it up front. If your supplier offers you, sounds like a great sales message, I agree with it. Try and agree how much you'll pay for them to help you up front, even if it's just by their rate card, to avoid being held to ransom. People made the point about how do you enforce that. I think if you sign up with g.ho.st.com, you get what you deserve, frankly. But if you sign up with someone you've done diligence on, the chances are they have more than one customer, and the chances are they have assets in jurisdictions where you can go after them. But ultimately, you want to make sure in your contract that you have the right to go to court to seek injunctive relief, which obviously is at the discretion. Something like all the data on which your business relies is something a court is going to look kindly on if you ask for an injunction to force the supplier to give you your data, be it a US court, be it an English court. You know, Indian courts are slow, but Indian courts too that sanction's there. Yeah, it might take you 10 years, but it's there. So. And then they are speeding up because the reputational thing is important to them. So, best practice in negotiating contracts. It's evolving fast. Whoops. Oh, wrong one. You can tell I'm a technology lawyer. Oh, goodness. You said the one on the side?
You can use the arrow keys, I think.
Yeah.
You need to hit escape to get rid of that, yes.
That's it. There we go. Look at the layers behind your service. Does the contract reflect them or address them? Who controls the infrastructure? Where's data being processed? We've gone over that at length. Who can access it? Patriot Act, all sorts of regulators. What goes on there? You need to know about that because of your downward obligations to your local regulators and to your local customers. What happens if someone goes out of business in the supply chain? What then? How easily can you switch? And have you seen everything, which is, again, the point I made before about terms and conditions, privacy policies, etc. How does it fit in with your regulatory mix? And how does it, again, sit in with your customers? And then the final point, which isn't really on the slide, is the only constant in this business is change. You need to plan for change. And when I say plan for change, don't click something that says the supplier can change it whenever he or she wants. But equally, be aware, it's cloud. It will change. Therefore, more flexibility than in a widget contract. If someone redesigns a widget, yeah, of course there's a huge change control process. It means your business might stop working. In cloud, it will change, it will evolve. That's how, no one ever provides software without bugs. Bugs will get fixed. That's change. So you need to find some way to navigate through that. Thank you very much.